I'm one person and can only do the work of one person. And the value becomes when you can take that to doing that same work with 50 people, or that same work with 100 people, or the same work with 200 people. And I think we've all seen is when you have people going in different directions, you get nowhere. When you have push and pull, you get nowhere. And by aligning your efforts and your values and your outcomes for kids, it brings a collective together. It gets you just for moving further than you would just by yourself. And I think what it also does is it brings clarity. I think even in times when you're in a situation where you feel like things are generally moving together, or that the culture is pretty good, or that even I would use the word like harmonious. When you don't have it clearly identified and spelled out, becomes ambiguity in there. What that does too is when you have people, unfortunately, we don't get to keep all of our people all the time. When you have transition, you have turnover, people leave, whether it be even just for medical leaves, or you have people retire, or people leave jobs. When you bring in new people with that clear identity and clear outcomes, it's easy to onboard people because they just know right away who you are and what you stand for. And just consistency. Consistency is huge when you have multiple buildings, and a lot of times I think when we look at our identity and our outcomes and what we value, a lot of times we think about classrooms, but like, how impressive is it when your identity gets baked in so strong that it's not just what your teachers do, but it's what your cafeteria does. It's what your bus drivers do. It's what your custodial staff embodies. It's what your parents know. It's like, it just becomes bigger, and it spreads throughout programs, so that you don't have, I guess, your little islands that you sometimes get between, different buildings or different cultures, or the cultures that exist sometimes within cultures. And another thing, and for us at the time too, one thing that was, I think, one of the great things about the work around identity and shared visions is you can do it. It's not it doesn't cost anything to start to do that work and to bring a united group together. It's not like you have to, it's not hiring staff. It's not a new program. It's not you're not going out and spending a ton of money to do it. I mean, it can be done, and it can be done any time. So wherever you are in your process, or wherever you are as a district or as a school, whether things are going well, or whether you're like, we need to make some big changes, this work helps move the dial further. And I think just that last part too of why, we need a why. So much of what we do in this profession becomes, it's difficult. It's not easy, particularly in the last few years. And we are constantly bombarded with distractions all day long that make it so easy to head down a different path, or to get distracted on something else, or, there's a regional training in our area. Let's do that. Which you start chasing after different things to try and improve without really knowing your why, and grounding yourself to decisions. And I just put a little quote on there because, I think we can all say in education that we're all working hard. We all kind of always have, but man, these last few years, people are working really hard, and we need people. We need to keep people. We don't want burnout. But sometimes, like it's like that Kennedy quote there, effort and courage just aren't enough without purpose and direction. And so we need to get that purpose and direction solidified.